hop on, you have a little station ID where you say me and my co-host, like I haven't been doing this for a year now.
That is true.
And I didn't hear that today, so I forgot to start the stream.
Poor Jim. Sorry, Jim. I don't mention you in that. I don't mention Jacob. Listen,
it's all right. We're like the Rodney Dangerfield of radio around here. I tell you what, I got no respect at all.
What does that make me, Richard Pryor?
It makes you whatever you want it to make you, I guess.
I'm the one that pushes the limits a little bit. I think that's safe to say on this show.
Yeah, for sure.
We make it a fun show, and sometimes I test the limits a little bit. But I'll say this.
You're sometimes out of your lane.
There's no doubt. So Jacob brings this wealth of Georgia knowledge to our ESPN listeners, Georgia Bulldogs right here on ESPN Cleveland. Jim, we mentioned it yesterday. Might as well call him the encyclopedia because
honestly,
when it comes to sports history, when it comes to the Big Ten, it doesn't matter if it's a Big Ten or the SEC. He knows his stuff either way. That's your role. My role is just being an absolute complete idiot on this show, and I think it works well between the three of us. I think we've got to get. I'm expendable, right?
Well, acknowledging it is the first step, and so I'm proud of you. We've acknowledged it, and we can move forward.
Were you guys familiar with the original Monday Night Football broadcasting crew?
Yes.
Okay, so
yes,
I would consider myself to be Frank Gifford. That's Howard Cosell, and you're Dandy Don Meredith.
Okay. I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
Turn out the lights, the party's over.
I'll bust out a little singing on the show every once in a while. Hey, listen, Frank Gifford, man, he married Kathy Lee. He was doing all right.
That's right.
Quite a few years older than her.
Yeah, that's true.
We're talking about the Cougars, Cleveland State. They should get Kathy Lee Gifford to come down there and hang out sometime.
Were you listening to Marty and the interview with Marty and Mike Keith? Just a few minutes
Just
ago.
a little bit, yeah. Uh-huh.
He was talking about like what makes your show so successful, and one of the things that he said, like you can't replicate like people just sitting down
being genuine.
Yeah, being genuine, having a conversation. I think that's something that all three of us like. We like each other, and we laugh, we text all the time. Like we are constantly.
I thought Jacob was going to say, and then they don't plan for their show, and then Andy has pages of plans. I thought he was going to throw shade at me.
But no, I'm the one that like doesn't check the plans. I'm that guy that doesn't look at the drive. Like the drive, I know this is the drive, but he has a drive of things that we're going to talk about today. And I promise you, the last time I looked at it, it had to be like September.
The last time that Jacob looked at it, Spencer Strider was getting his first start for the Braves.
I've got it up in front of me every day. Now, that being said, we don't always follow it because we get off on a tangent, but it's always good to have a plan. It's kind of like what was it Mike Tyson used to say, when he got in the ring, he'd go, everyone has a plan until you get hit in the mouth.
Get punched in the face.
And then you're like, plans changed. Plan B here.
Hey, talking about having a long-term plan, Curt Cignetti, Indiana head coach, breaking news. He's getting an 8-year, $11.6 million annually extension. What an unbelievable contract for Curt Cignetti, and he's earned it.
We predicted this on Monday and Tuesday. We said, listen, we're going to see coaches across the country start getting raises. This is the first domino. I feel like you're going to see Ole Miss at least do their best to do the same thing with Lane Kiffin because his name's out there everywhere.
Yeah. How hard do you feel like Ole Miss is about to push this bill?
And they should. They really should, because I do think that he wants to stay there. I think he has a desire to win a national title. Jim doesn't think it's doable at Ole Miss. I think a shot in the dark it is.
Well, if it's doable at Indiana, it's doable at Ole Miss.
I'm not saying it's doable at Indiana. And I want them to prove me wrong.
Yeah, same here.
I've bought into the traditional blue bloods are the only ones that win national championships, and I'm sticking to that until they prove me wrong. It's the same old. Look over the last 30 years, it's been your traditional powers year after year after year after year. And yeah, I would consider Florida State one of the newbies that did it, and Miami, but really other than them, it's the traditional powers that have been around for 40,
because
50,
they have
60
the money.
years. Well, yeah, but things have changed, and I admit it. And maybe I'm just reading my tea leaves wrong. You're going to see schools like in Indiana that now has money being funneled in there by Mark Cuban. Ole Miss, who knows who their money guy is, and like Texas Tech, we could see a whole dynamic change in college football because of who's got the most money, because that's where the players are going to end up going.
Well, we can be honest. Like, we were really hard on Indiana last year. we called them pretenders.
I for sure was. I called them pretenders like 3 weeks ago.
You know, we were very, very hard on them. But, like, two years in a row is not pretending to me.
Just Google him.
Well,
like
He wins wherever he goes.
He
said it, I joke about it, but like honestly,
true.
it is true.
Yeah.
He's done a good job. Was it James Madison has stopped prior to Indiana?
And he's 64 years old.
And
too,
he's
been around.
So
the block.
this is what I love, and I'm going to kind of go at Jim a little bit here. Jim always says, like, when I'm putting together a football team, I want the biggest guys. That's his mindset. My pet peeve, being a former smaller football player, is that I see so many guys that could excel at the D1 level, and we do see some of them excel at the NFL level because they are players. My biggest pet peeve about the sport of football is how good athletes and good players. Look at Travis Hunter. Dude's one of the smallest guys in the league. Obviously, very talented, very fast,
and very tough.
That's a game changer. But people still worry about his health. But my biggest pet peeve about the sport of football at the college level are so many good players get overlooked because they're not 6'2", because they're not 240, 250. There are so many good athletes that now we're starting to see it. Call Diego Pavia up and let that guy talk about it. Played junior college ball. Call Tennessee's quarterback, Joey Aguilar. Didn't have an offer, was ready to go be a firefighter.
That's right.
Guys like that, up until this point, have been missed. Didn't get those opportunities, and a lot of careers ended. We've seen guys, what I like about this era now, guys like that are able to go prove themselves at JUCO. Then they get an opportunity at a smaller big-time program like at App State or a San Jose State, somewhere like that, or a New Mexico, and they ball out, and then guess who comes calling? Oh, hey, now you've proved yourself. We bet against you, and you've never bet against yourself. I love that about this era of college football.
You're right. That is different because it used to be Terrell Owens was going to stay at UTC for his whole career.
Yes.
He was a late bloomer. He matured later in life than most kids. He had that growth spurt later on in his life. He balled out at UTC on both the basketball floor and the football field, and he made a tremendous amount of money in the NFL. And he was one of the top wide receivers in the NFL for a good 7-8 years.
There's no doubt.
You know,
his time in San Francisco and Dallas.
If this was today, Terrell Owens would probably be playing at Alabama or Tennessee.
He would have been bought
He would have
out.
been transferred by now.
Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley State.
That's right.
He would have been bought out.
Walter Payton played at Jackson State. Yeah.
Yeah, we threw around the idea of, like, what school like Indiana is going to be the first one to kind of, in this new age of college football, win a national championship. And I'll be honest, like, right now, like, to me, them and Texas Tech have to be the two front runners just with the amount of money and resources. But, like, most people don't walk into Eugene and win a game like they won.
Well, you know, in Oregon, they've never won a national championship. Would you include them? Even though they've been winning, they've never won a national championship.
Yeah, no,
But they've been winning for the last 30 years.
I think it's with them being in the Big Ten now. I think, and so I'm kind of second guessing myself as I'm talking because
they have played for two national.
You look at
championships.
Vanderbilt; they're in a similar situation. They got a good head coach. They got a good roster now. They got a lot of money. Vanderbilt's, without a doubt, you look at their past 2 seasons, they've gotten a lot better. Do I still think it's doable to win a national title there? No, I don't. I really don't. The cool thing is they got some players and a coaching staff that believe it.
Yep.
But when you look at Oregon, with them being in the Big 12, I feel like this is a
Big
scenario, or what did I say, 12?
Big Ten.
In the Big Ten now, and out of the Pac-12, I feel like it's an apples and oranges situation because I think it's a benefit to Oregon being in the Big Ten. I think there's going to be some years where they're going to be able to run that conference and they're going to have a pretty decent path through the playoff.
And Oregon, they played for two national championships. They got beat by Oregon. They got beat by Auburn, and then they got beat by Ohio State. But they've been on the national stage for a good 20, 30 years. Whereas Indiana and Vanderbilt, 3 years ago, we weren't talking anything about, Vanderbilt or Indiana. This is a new thing for these schools. And Texas Tech, when Mike Leach was there was some success, but really
Graham
for
Harrell,
most of my lifetime, Texas Tech has been, hey, that's a good homecoming opponent.
There's been about two guys from Texas Tech that you could name up until this era, and it was Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what
Is those two guys.
I think if you're going to say that Oregon is not relevant, that would be like saying Notre Dame's not relevant because they haven't won since like '88.
Agreed.
And like they have been, they've been in the mix, they've been in the conversation,
and they put dudes in the NFL.
Yeah.
They're a program.
Oregon, going back to Oregon, Joey Harrington, Dennis Dixon, a guy who honestly, until he got hurt, was on track to win a Heisman Trophy at Oregon. Going back to those guys, that's been a while. They've been relevant since those guys. So I that's why I put them. They're not new to the party. I put them in a different category than the Indianas and the Vanderbilts and the Texas Techs.
I think the moment Nike kind of stepped in is the moment they became relevant. Like when the uniform combinations started happening, and like, I mean, if I remember my time in high school and I'm getting online like building Oregon uniforms, like you're relevant. Like you were relevant to me as a high schooler, and that was in 2011. They've been around the block for a while.
All right, listen, we've got Indiana from the Big Ten, Vanderbilt from the SEC, Texas Tech from the Big 12. Is there an ACC school out there that we think can rise up that's not a traditional power that can rise up on the football?
I think we're already seeing it.
Is it Virginia?
I think it's Virginia.
Do you think that's one of those schools, or is that a fluky thing?
I think the school that's going to, if there's a school to do it out of
ACC,
it's going to be SMU.
Well, we said they made the playoff last year.
Yeah.
And they're having a little bit going in reverse a little bit this year, but they got a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I think you're tracking with that. Virginia, I feel like, has not also been relevant, and we see them winning some big games. It's a school, again, who kind of listen, Rondé and Tiki Barber played there. Like, they've got a good history.
I'm going to throw a school out there that I don't think anyone's thinking about. And the reason I'm going to say this is because I know they've got a lot of really big-time, rich alumni.
Can I guess which? Okay.
Duke University. I know
got a good
they're
coach.
not doing anything right now, but they've got a lot of very wealthy alumni.
Manny Diaz is a good
lot of
coach.
them, yeah. I'm just saying, I'm not saying they're not doing it this year.
Yeah.
But I'm saying down the road, they were winners back in the 30s and 40s. They haven't done squat over the last 60 years.
Can Stanford ever get back into
Yes,
the
They will.
Yes,
They will.
they can.
But
They absolutely
so
will.
ask the question again.
And they're an ACC school.
Yes, I want our listeners to hear this. Ask that question again.
Can Stanford be relevant again?
No, the original about the ACC.
Oh, who is like the one team in the ACC who's not been a traditional power that could come to power like a Texas
Indiana
Tech has in Indiana?
I'm going to throw out another one. Georgia Tech.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
They got money.
Because of the talent in the state of Georgia.
And listen, they're not a wing T team anymore. They're not a triple option team anymore. They've expanded. They're not a Russell Athletic uniform team anymore. The stuff Jacob's talking about, that matters.
They've got the coaches. I don't know that I love their AD and the decision making that's going on currently. And hear me out here. Like they sold the rights to the Georgia game to Mercedes-Benz because they were chasing dollar signs. And like that, to me, like that has a chance.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
So instead of us playing, I can't even remember. I always call it
Bobby Dodd Stadium.
Bobby Dodd, but I always called it Mark Rick's practice field. But
Oh Lord. It used to be called Grant Field. Now it's Bobby Dodd Stadium.
The game's supposed to be in Bobby Dodd, and they sold the game to Mercedes-Benz. So that game, which has a very, very, very good chance to be a top 10 matchup between the two, or two top 15 teams playing each other, is now being played in Mercedes-Benz this year.
But that is only
and
on
it's gonna be
Georgia.
a lot of red and black.
So that's only on Georgia Tech home years, right?
I think it's just this
1
year,
year.
but
Okay.
maybe it was a 4-year, like 2-year kind of deal.
Gotcha.
But like to me, if you're going to be an elite program, like your fans deserve better than that.
Could be a way to sell more tickets too for them. Bobby Dodd Stadium's not a huge stadium.
It holds about 50,000. So you got Mercedes-Benz holds what 75,000.
Yeah, so that might be a little bit playing into it.
Mercedes-Benz paid them handsomely.
Oh, yeah.
because they know that it's basically going. But like you're Georgia Tech,
You're Georgia. You got a problem with that. I get it. If as an outsider, I don't have much of a problem
as
with
a
it.
Georgia fan, I don't have a problem with
He
it.
loves it. If I was a
Okay,
Georgia
okay.
Tech fan, I'd have a problem.
That's going to be a home game.
What
for
I'm
us.
saying, you're knocking them for it, though.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
like I think if you're going to take your program serious, like, and I'll be honest, I'm not huge on these games at the beginning of the year that are not at home. Just schedule a home at home. put the game on campus.
You're not trying to fly to Ireland?
Do you know
Aer Lingus?
No.
I'm so glad this week we've got Texas A&M playing Arkansas, and for years they'd play that thing at AT&T Stadium in Dallas or Arlington. I'm so glad that they ended that, and they're now going back to campus games between Arkansas and Texas A&M. I'm like you. I think Georgia Tech sold their soul for this, but for money. Because it's going to be it's already a pretty good Georgia crowd at Bobby Dodd. At the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it'll be 75% Georgia.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm taking my Georgia hat off for a minute, and I'm putting on, like, what's good for Georgia Tech's program. A home game where it's 50-50 capacity or even 60-40 Georgia Tech fans when you're having a great year is better than trying to outpace the entire state of Georgia in Mercedes-Benz. Like, you have a legitimate you went into Athens and took that game into 8 overtimes last year, and now you're giving up your home field advantage.
So I want to say this. I want to get into it with you a little bit here because I feel like you guys are on the same page with this. Georgia Tech is relevant right now. They've got a good football team. I think if there's ever a time to do that, to take it to a neutral site, it's right now. You collect that money, and I would argue with you on, what did you say, 70-30?
Yeah, it'll be 70.
Listen,
I think so.
I was present for Georgia Tech Notre Dame last year. Notre Dame doesn't travel well. They got fans everywhere, and they show up to those games because they don't get opportunities to go to Notre Dame home games. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, hey, Notre Dame's going to crush attendance on this. There were a lot of Notre Dame people there, but it was honestly probably very, very close to 50-50. I was surprised how many Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets butts were in those seats. It surprised me. It caught me off guard, saw it firsthand last year. So when you've got a relevant Georgia Tech team taking on a Georgia team that they took in all those overtimes last year at Georgia, I think if there's a time for Georgia Tech fans to come out of the woodwork and come to a football game, that's more time than ever.
I just don't think it's going to happen because you look at how many seats are already like taken up at Georgia.
They've already been bought. That's a sellout already
for season ticket games. You look at the average fan that's like now that says, "Oh, I can afford to go to Mercedes-Benz." That ticket's $175 versus like if I tried to go to the Alabama game this year,
it'd be about 300,
600.
It was 600. That's wild
for the 600 section.
That's wild
to be in the Alabama game. So like Ole Miss, I could look it up right now. I guarantee you, tickets are over $450.
Speaking of Alabama, shout out to our winner of our Vols 25 giveaway presented by USS. Of course, every Vols road game we're giving away tickets, and that's every Tuesday. Karen Thomas was this week's winner and is headed to Tuscaloosa for the big game Saturday night. Tennessee, Alabama. Next week, the Vols are at Kentucky and at Florida on November 22nd. You can register to win our Vols 25 giveaway on ESPN Cleveland 1013's Facebook page. So, again, shout out to USS for that. But
do you know what the value of those tickets are?
Winning that ticket's a big deal.
Yeah, so I don't know what the SNN10, but normally when it's double letters, that's the upper deck. They're sitting at $234 right now.
That's probably a Skyline seat too.
Yeah, like up in the upper. I'm going to go over to Georgia Ole Miss.
Not taking the wife and kids to that one.
No, and because if Alabama wins, that's a health hazard with all the cigars that are going to be lit up.
So again, some breaking news: Kurt Cignetti, Indiana head coach, gets an 8-year extension, getting paid $11.6 million a year. Very well deserved, and a very smart move by Indiana to keep him around with what they've got going on.
And think about this: now that you know, if you're a player, and you know Cignetti's going to be there, and you see what he's done. It's a very attractive place to go because they've got the NIL money apparently, and so you've got that guy. He's going to be your head coach, and he's done a pretty good job of building a staff around him. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it looks like a very attractive place to go play football. There's no way we just said something like this 2 years ago.
It's transitioning, and they're about to do some more stadium renovations. Yeah. They're investing in that program. They're going to become a player in the Big Ten.
I mean, Indiana, is it a football school? I mean,
you might be now.
It is absolutely incredible because I look at Indiana like I've always looked at Vanderbilt or Rutgers, someone like that. They're like, yeah, I mean, okay, they're okay. They're getting paid well, but they don't win.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, is that the best hire of any school in the last 10 years.
And they didn't have to go break the bank to get them initially.
No.
They saved on the front end of that deal. They saved on the front end.
Cignetti looked like a guy that, hey, he's pretty desirable. He's done some great things at James Madison. But he goes to Indiana, and they get, a lot of kids transferred from JMU to Indiana, and he got some other transfers in there for quarterbacks, and he's turned it around instantly.
And see, I went off on my tangent there about guys getting opportunities. That's where I was going. He brought those guys from JMU with him to Indiana. So very impressive what he's been able to do. He knows ball players, and I love that about him. And, again, big-time move there by Indiana. Curt Cignetti hanging around for at least 8 more years unless he gets bought out of a contract like James Franklin did at Penn State. Let's hope that's not the case for him. Some more breaking news on a serious note. This one frustrated me a little bit. Pretty upset to hear this. Former Tennessee Vol running back and Centennial High School head coach Jay Graham. A lot of our Vol fans remember Jay Graham's success in the NFL, and especially his time up in Knoxville as the Volunteers running back. He was arrested and fired from his teaching job in an online prostitution sting operation where he responded to an ad to meet up with a 16-year-old female. And Jay Graham is a guy who I enjoyed watching play football, and that is extremely disappointing to hear when this broke.
Where's Centennial High School?
It's up there in Williamson County, Nashville area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough because he was such a great player in the mid-'90s for Tennessee under Philip Fulmer, and a really, really great running back. I didn't even know he was, coaching football until all this news came out. But stuff like that, it just makes you sit there and shake your head like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't understand stuff like that, but it's kind of like people that get caught with drugs and stuff like that, and I'm like, what were you thinking? They obviously weren't thinking.
Yeah, and this was broke by WSMV Channel 4 up there in that area, Nashville area. So very unfortunate news.
And that's going to stain his legacy.
There's no
with
doubt.
A lot of Tennessee fans, and that's unfortunate because. I don't know Jay Graham. I've never met him before, but I know he's a good running back in college football. I couldn't tell you much about him after that.
Yeah, talking a lot of college football here. When we come back, by the way, 5:40 today, Bradley Central head football coach Damon Floyd is going to join the show. Might talk to him about maybe getting a pay raise or something. He's playing some pretty good football over there.
And they're off this week, man.
That's it.
He's getting chill, man.
That's it. I don't know if he's been able to go down to the beach.
From what I hear, I'm just a rumor. I've heard that he is making a little trip up there to Maryville to scout in person.
Locked in.
That's what was said to me today.
Locked in.
I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard.
We'll
ask him.
That's it. We'll talk high school football, college football, MLB postseason, all when we come back right here on ESPN Cleveland.
This is John Davis, the trading man at Kia Cleveland on South Lee Highway. Is your old car really scary? Are you frightened about how much you owe? Don't be afraid. We'll take any trade. Let your scary old car rust in peace. Kia Cleveland will pay you up to $7,000 over Kelley Blue Book market value for your current vehicle, running or not. That's right, up to $7,000 for any trade in any condition. And we'll buy your car for cash, even if you don't buy a car from us. Are you haunted by bad credit? Don't sweat it. Our lenders will say yes to you and yes to your situation. Don't be frightened by how much you owe on your old car. At Kia of Cleveland, we can get you out. Come see me, John Davis, at Kia Cleveland on South Lee Highway in beautiful Cleveland, Tennessee, where trading your car is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Negative trade equity financed in new loan, subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
Hardees is hiring. Join the Star Team. Flexible scheduling, daily pay, free meals, 20% family discount, plus paid vacation for part-time and full-time employees. Apply in-store or online at hardees.com today.
ESPN Cleveland 101.3 is powered by Duracell.
Not all composite decking is the same. Enjoy life's beautiful moments on an equally beautiful composite deck. Envision's products feature deep, non-repeating grains and distinct colors throughout each pour, offering a truly unique appearance unlike anything else on the market. Learn more and find inspiration for your project at Cleveland Plywood. Cleveland Plywood Company, 2700 20th Street Northeast in Cleveland.
Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Visit milliganvein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Duracell in Cleveland is now hiring mechanical skilled technicians, $22 to $27 per hour. Excellent benefits beginning day one. Medical, dental, vision insurance, paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com.
Excited to be back with everybody here on The Drive.
Sorry.
You just blasted everybody's speakers out of their car. Good job, Basin.
I just didn't want them to have to hear you talk.
Throwing shade at me, making our listeners suffer.
Didn't want to, trying to give them one less second.
Once again, Andy here with Jim and some other guy, and we're talking a little college football, and that other guy would be the one and only Slim Money Jacob Mason. And so we're going to play a game here in just a minute.
Yep.
Where Jim, I'll let you explain what we're doing here.
It's called better, worse, or the same. We're going to do the top 25 in the AP poll this week because we're at the halfway mark. Most teams have played 6 teams, and we're going to do. This is for the regular season only. It has nothing to do with postseason. It has everything to do with regular season. Will they be better in the second half of the season, worse in the second half of the season, or the same? And so we're going to do the top 25 and some of the teams that are in the also receiving votes. And then we're going to keep this on hand. And once the end of the regular season, we'll go back and revisit this and see how wrong we were.
Yeah, and I want all the listeners to know, none of us have looked at the schedules.
Nope, we're doing this without looking at schedules.
We have no idea who.
Other than our prior knowledge to the schedules.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't, studied this. Like, we are giving a gut feeling on the product that they've put on the field through, 6 weeks?
Right. So, Miami's one of the only teams that's only played 5 games. Most every school has played 6. So, Miami's already had their 2 open dates. They don't have an open date the rest of the season, whereas, everyone else has one more open date. This is one of those quirky seasons, just like last year, where the schedule, there's more Saturdays between Labor Day and the first Saturday in December. So, that's why everyone's got 2 open dates. Same thing happened last year. Next year, everyone only gets one open date. It's just the way the calendar worked for the last 2 years, so that's why we got 2. But it's fun. It just makes it fun to try to, I guess, predict. But there again, some of these we're going to be way off because what's going to happen? There's going to be a significant injury somewhere. And that team who's been playing lights out all of a sudden is going into the toilet. And they're not going to play that good. They're going to get beat up pretty bad. Stuff like that happens. You can't predict that. But I'm just basing it off of if they played as about how they have been this year. And I think there's some teams out there that are undefeated. I don't think they're going to be undefeated in the second half of the season because they've got a backloaded schedule. And I think one of them is going to Athens, Georgia this weekend. I think Ole Miss, they're sitting there nice, pretty 6-0. But, man, they've got some tough teams coming up. They really do. So that's how I'm doing it, and it'll be fun. I know we've got a lot of other things we're going to get into today, and excited to be talking to Damon Floyd because, man, Bradley looks so darn good this past weekend. They got the quarterback situation it's kind of changed in the middle of the season here, and they're playing really, really good football there at BCHS. Excited to talk to him about that. But I love doing stuff like this. It's
a lot of fun.
It's kind of like testing yourself and just seeing, hey, how close are we as far as predicting how these teams are going to finish the season?
And we're literally doing it right now as we're on air.
Yes.
Like we're passing this list around. And Jacob's filling his out right now. Jim and I just finished filling ours out. But, of course, Bradley taking on Maryville. We're going to talk to Coach Floyd about that here in about 15 minutes or so, roughly. But I want to continue. Let's go ahead and hit real quick. I want to talk Tennessee Bama. This is a big week.
Okay.
3rd Saturday in October, down there in Tuscaloosa. Tennessee is hungry for a road win down there at Alabama. Haven't had one since that 5 overtime game back in 2003.
It's been so long since Tennessee's won on the road at Alabama. They're overdue. And, you sit there and you go, well, is this the year they need to do it? I don't know. I think Tennessee, Alabama is going to be competitive for the foreseeable future. Why? Because there's not a guy named Nick Saban roaming the sidelines. Nothing against Kalen DeBoer, but he's not Nick Saban. So I think the talent level at Tennessee and Alabama is a lot closer now than it was when Saban was there. When Saban was there, there's guys on the sidelines that were better than Tennessee's first string.
Yeah.
The backups at Alabama. That's how deep that roster was.
And part of that, too, is Josh Heupel wasn't there yet. He wasn't recruiting like he's been able to do.
That's true, too.
Right now, the odds have been adjusted. Bama currently a 7.5-point favorite in that ball game at home. That's to me, that's Tennessee getting some respect, in my opinion.
It is. I mean, honestly, I thought it might be about a 9-point spread there. The fact that it was 7.5 kind of surprised me a little bit, because, and the reason I say that, nothing against Tennessee, but Alabama looks so much better today than they did. Try to just forget about that Florida State game.
Yeah.
Since that Florida State game, Alabama's looked really good, and they're playing lights out. And Tennessee, I know they're putting a lot of points on the board, but man, they give up a lot of points.
Yeah, I was pretty strong with my bashing of Kalen DeBoer at the beginning of the year because of what I saw last year. Then the Florida State game happened, and I was like, God, what is this guy doing in Nick Saban's seat? That's the lens that I was looking at it with. And he's earned a lot of my respect here over the last few weeks, the way he's performed, the way he's prepared his team. I don't think he's as much of a pushover as a lot of people were made to think as far as the way he runs things internally. I think it's a little bit cleaner than what we think.
Let me ask you this. I think we all agree that Kirby Smart's the best coach in the SEC. Where's Kalen DeBoer on the pecking order? I think you can make a case for him being the second best coach in the entire SEC.
I've got Lane Kiffin above him. I'm sorry.
Do you really?
I'm very strong believer in what Lane Kiffin's doing, and this is a guy. You talk about changing how you feel about somebody. Going back to Lane Kiffin's days at USC, and then coming to Tennessee, and I warned all my buddies. Listen, hey, ask Kevin Raper what I told him about Lane Kiffin when he got that head job, and everybody was excited about it. I said that dude is a snake. I genuinely think he's a changed person, not just
mature.
head coach.
He's mature.
But I'm so high on him, and I used to be a Lane Kiffin hater.
So if every coach in the SEC was a free agent and you had you got to just choose, obviously number one would be Kirby Smart. I think, and this is nothing against Josh Heupel, but I would pick Kalen DeBoer right now over Josh Heupel. And I know a lot of Tennessee fans probably disagree with me.
I disagree with you.
But Kalen DeBoer has proven it to me. He took Washington to the national championship game. He's taken Alabama to.
But I feel like he's done less with more up to this point.
Well, last year you can make that point. You could definitely make that statement because I think now he's changed things around.
I think Josh Heupel has done more within a foundational period of his program.
I want to hop in on the DeBoer over
Heupel.
Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin. And really Heupel. Like, dude's competed for a national championship.
Yes.
Neither of those guys have. Like, at the end of the day, like, he's won wherever he's went. He's competed for a national championship. He lost it. Like, he's gotten to the Mecca. And if you're able to do that, to me, you are in a category that about 10% of college football coaches have ever been in. So, I don't know that you can.
And Heupel's beaten Alabama, twice now? Is that right?
Yeah. Both times at Neyland, though.
Yeah.
Both at home. Done on the road.
Listen, if he's able to go down and steal one, then for sure, for me, I've got Heupel at 3. I've got Kiffin at 2, and then obviously.
And I reserve the right to change my mind if they beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
I'll be honest. I look at I go Kirby 1, DeBoer 2, and then I think 3 is 3A and 3B between Heupel and Lane Kiffin. Like I think they're on the same playing field right now. I think they're both really good coaches that are looking to take the next step in their coaching career.
And we're saying this with Brian Kelly at an LSU, which everyone knows how I feel about him. Sarkisian at Texas, but a Clark Lee that's transformed Vanderbilt into a player.
And Elko at A&M.
Yeah, and I wasn't even thinking of Elko. So, like, there's so many ways that you can mix kind of that top five. I think within the past couple weeks, Kalen DeBoer has worked his way into my personal top
What about
five.
Drinkwitz? How do y'all feel about Drinkwitz? I was a Drinkwitz doubter until this year. He has changed my mind.
I think he's done it really every year that he's been there. Like, he finds a way to win games he's not supposed to. Does more with less.
They fly under the radar every year.
I mean, let's be honest. He's kind of a dweeb. Like, he's funny. he's like just kind of nerdy, but he's also, like, I'll be honest, like, that's not a terrible hire at Penn. If you strike out a bunch at Penn State and it came down to Matt Rule or Drinkwitz, I think I'm going Drinkwitz. I think
I am too.
I think he stirs the pot enough, and he would go up against a Ryan Day. He would go up against a Dan Lanning and have some, like, moxie to him. Like, I like him. I just think he's I think he's at Missouri, who traditionally just hasn't been a powerhouse.
Nope.
So I want to get back to Tennessee, Alabama a little bit here. Deshaun Bishop listed as probable for Saturday's game. That's good to hear for Tennessee fans. Got banged up. A little concussion protocol after that Arkansas game last week. But I don't know. This is confusing to me because it continues to be big news, and I wanted to talk about this for a second. Jermod McCoy, obviously one of the best defensive backs in the country when he's healthy, coming back from ACL surgery. He is going to remain out this week, and the target and the goal was for him to play against Arkansas last week. And that's mind-blowing to me because I want to say this. He had a torn ACL, complete tear, and had surgery and has been going through his recovery. Had surgery in January. He was originally, like I said, predicted to come back last week. We're on a very similar timetable, and I know I'm about 20, 25 years or whatever. I'm a lot older than him. And I'm going through the exact same thing. And I'm at like roughly 6 months of my recovery. There is I have trouble jogging like 40 yards right now. Like I'm getting a little bit better, and I'm starting to support my weight, which is a little bit more than it used to be back in my wrestling days, by the way. Packing it on a little bit. They call Jacob Slim Money. They call me Big something. I don't know.
Hefty.
Yeah, like
I thought
Hefty
your
Andy.
name's Maestro. Is that
the big guy?
That's a thing.
Just start calling me the big guy.
We're still working on that. We'll get into that later.
I'm thinking of so many jokes right now. But so anyway, like I put on some pounds. Let's just say that. But I'm looking at this timetable for Jermod McCoy, and I'm like, that's so unrealistic to ask a guy who is extremely explosive, recovering from we need to get someone from Center for Sports Medicine, Dr. Spangler, on the phone with us at some point to talk about this, because I feel like that was so unfair to him for that expectation. I don't know who put that out into the world, but in reality, he shouldn't be coming back for a few more weeks.
Well, different guys heal differently as far as speed-wise, and all we can know is what's going on with him right now. Obviously, they felt pretty good about it a couple weeks ago, thinking that he might be ready this past week.
He's been going through practice.
He's a world-class athlete, getting the best care on a daily basis,
yes.
Way more than you are, okay?
Yeah.
Because
I go home and watch Braves games.
But there's a difference about what the kind of therapy he's gone through and what you have, because there's a timetable. The clock's ticking on him. Whereas for you, it's already past midnight.
The clock's ticking, but in a different regard, right?
You think about, they've got those underwater treadmills.
Absolutely.
And they've got all kind think about how fast Ronnie Baseball realistically got back onto the diamond.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about Nick Chubb has had 3 injuries
But you bring up Ronnie.
In his career.
You bring up Ronnie,
and he's still running.
That was close to a year.
Yeah, it's
Jermod McCoy was in January, dude.
So it's been 10 months though. That's close to a year.
Well, yeah. Nick Chubb got back in 9 or 10, and some guys can do it. Some guys can, and some guys can't.
We're mid-October, and if he does a January, we're 10 and a half months into it.
If a guy tore his ACL in January, I'm not expecting him to play.
Football's very different from baseball,
True.
too.
Yeah, I'm not expecting him to play. It would be would I be happy? Sure, but in my head, I'm not expecting him to come back until at least November, December.
That's how I feel. That's exactly how. So I want to talk about that just because I am going through it firsthand. And Jim's exactly right. My rehab, my recovery extremely different, and resources extremely different. Although I will say our buddies over at C4 have been taking care of me. They do a great job. But the age thing's a factor. But, man, I just think it's more of a push from media saying, oh, he might be back, he's coming back, because I don't think it's coming out of Vols camp. I don't think it's coming out of the offices there. Like, he's been practicing, though. Right. His teammates have commented about him being fully dressed at practice and going through workouts and doing things. So he's not far. But, man, when the lights turn on Saturday night and being able to go step for step with an Alabama wide receiver, that's a big ask.
Yeah, that defense could really use someone like him too, because let's be honest, that is the Achilles heel of this Tennessee team, is the defense is just so susceptible to giving up big plays and quite a few points. So that's the one thing that prevents me from being really optimistic about this Tennessee team, because that defense just has, at times you'll see them play really well, but they can't sustain it over a 60-minute game.
And sometimes I think fans forget how fast these guys are actually playing.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Like, what an SEC receiver would get pulled over in a school zone. Like, if they're running at full speed, they're getting pulled over and getting a ticket in a school zone. They're running 22 miles an hour.
That's right.
Like, Jordan Davis at 6'6", 360 pounds was clocked at going 19 miles an hour on the kick return. These guys are booking it. And so to ask a guy that's coming back off of an ACL injury to be able to go cover
and cut.
Yes, and to have the mobility to do that, it's unrealistic.
And the reason I brought that up today, I want our Tennessee fans, don't be too over-eager for this. When he comes back, it's going to be great. When Jermod McCoy is on the field for you guys, it's going to be awesome. But do not be too eager. Don't buy into all this, the post and the stories, because give the guys time because he needs it. Before we go to break here, ALCS Game 3 last night, Blue Jays crushed the Mariners. Road teams continue to win the ball games. They won that game 13-4. Vlad Jr. was a triple shy of getting the cycle and very close to getting it. He pulled up at second base, and his teammates got mad at him. Shane Bieber gave up a two-run home run to Julio Rodriguez in the first, but never looked back after that as he cruised 6 innings, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts. Seattle leading that series 2-1. Game 4 tonight, first pitch at 8:33. Max Scherzer on the bump for the Blue Jays, and Luis Castillo is on the mound for Seattle.
Former Red.
That's right. And that game will be right here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Again, that's at 8:33 first pitch for the ALCS Game 4. Going over to the NLCS Game 3 tonight, the Dodgers versus the Brewers, first pitch at 6:08. So that game's going to be on first. Tyler Glasnow on the mound for the Dodgers, and Milwaukee going back to their opener, Aaron Ashby. And that game will be right here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. The Dodgers lead that series 2-0, taking both those games up in Milwaukee. And by the way, Ashby started Game 1 in the NLCS and tossed a scoreless frame in the first. But they've got Jose Quintana and Jacob Mizorowski set for the middle innings there. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Bradley Central head football coach Damon Floyd.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
When competition is fierce, sports injuries happen, and Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is here to help. Saturday sports clinics are available at our Chattanooga and Cleveland offices from August 23rd through November 8th for the treatment of non-emergency orthopedic injuries like sprains, strains, and fractures. Doors open at 9 a.m., no appointment needed to be seen by our highly trained physicians and clinical staff. Saturday sports clinic dates are subject to change. Check sportmed.com for the latest information. That's sportmed.com.
Don Ledford's annual fall trade-up sales event is in full swing. Come in and save big on our great selection of over 75 of the finest pre-owned vehicles you'll find anywhere. We have all brands too, including Buick, GMC, Chevrolet, Ford, Jeep, Honda, Hyundai, Mazda, Nissan, Ram truck, Toyota, Subaru, and we even have a BMW. There is truly something for everyone. Don Ledford Pre-Owned Trucks and SUVs in Cleveland, the dealership to go to if you're looking for quality, variety, and a a dealership you can trust to back up every pre-owned vehicle that they sell. Go online to donledford.com and review the vehicles you're interested in. And then visit our showroom at 4595 North Lee Highway in Cleveland to inspect and test drive your choice. You'll get a great deal during this annual event. So come today to Don Ledford's Pre-Owned Center in Cleveland, where we've been selling pre-owned vehicles you can trust since 1981. Hurry, this sale ends on October 31st, 2025.
Check your wallet. Empty? Check your bills. Overdue? Check your stress level. Maxed? Now, check into cash. Check into Cash is your one-stop money shop, and we've got everything you need. Payday loans and flex lines of credit options? Check. Quick in-store services like money orders and wire transfers? Check. Turn your unused gift cards into cash? Oh yeah, check. And yes, we cash checks. All kinds. Fast. Check that off your list. Visit checkintocash.com or check into a store to get started. The process is simple, quick, and designed to get you the help you need fast. If you've been approved, you can leave with cash in hand. We have locations in the Chattanooga area, including Cleveland and Athens. Check in, cash out, and get on with life. Check into Cash. We fund today to make a better tomorrow. Subject to state regulations, eligibility, credit check, underwriting, and approval. Rates, restrictions, and fees apply. Visit the store for details.
Harry's Wine and Spirits on North Lee Highway is celebrating their 5th anniversary. Harry's is celebrating customer appreciation all month long.
Assured Alarms here in Cleveland is locally owned and operated by Terry Buckner and Wesley Birchfield. They've been in business since 2004 and can design a new security, fire, and camera system specific to your needs. They're not a chain, they're not a franchise. They're your local alarm company. Call Assured Alarms today at 423-478-5222. That's Assured Alarms here in Cleveland, protecting you and your loved ones with Assured Alarms.
Cleveland Tire Center, locally owned and operated for over 45 years. Cleveland Tire, your one-stop auto care shop in Cleveland. North Lee Highway, where the name says it all.
Cleveland, the all-new Select Flooring and Remodeling is now open at 5555 North Lee Highway. We carry the top flooring brands you know and trust: Mohawk, Shaw, Engineer Floors, and United Weavers. We also specialize in home remodeling and roofing, delivering quality you can count on. Take advantage of 24 months interest-free credit. Come see us Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to 2. Call us today at 423-889-3007. That's Select Flooring and Remodeling, 5555 North Lee Highway, Cleveland. From the floors to the roof, we've got you covered.
Have you seen what happens when a weed eater gets too close to vinyl siding? Ouch! Choose steel siding from Best Buy Metals, available in board and batten and lap siding options. Permanent siding from Best Buy Metals is custom manufactured to the half-inch for a perfect fit. Stop by a showroom or go to bestbuymetalroof.com to learn how you can protect your structure.
Do you suffer from unsightly leg veins? Are your legs turning brown or swelling? Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Do you have restless legs or leg cramps disturbing your sleep? These symptoms are signs of bad veins. Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Find more information online at milliganvein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682 and get rid of those bad veins.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
For over 100 years, Mayfield Dairy has been delivering farm fresh dairy beloved by Southern families. Learn more about Mayfield today at mayfielddairy.com. And with that, on the line with us, we've got Bradley Central head football coach Damon Floyd. And Coach Floyd, before we get you on here, I want to let you know there was some breaking news today. Kurt Signetti at Indiana gets an 8-year, $11.6 million extension. So what I want to know is, when's Damon Floyd getting his raise?
I don't know about my raise. I actually asked Patrick, what's my buyout after James Franklin? That's what I want.
That's an even better question, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, so, Coach, it's a bye week. Obviously, you guys have Maryville coming up, and big game anytime you guys are on the field with them. You guys have had such a good season. And so approaching that game with this bye week, how are you and your team managing that?
I mean, you get 2 weeks to prepare for them, which is obviously, hopefully helps us. We need all the help we can get against Maryville, but we took this week. Now we've taken the pads off this week. They've only went in helmets. We've had a lot of meetings, film, not practicing real long, but definitely going ahead and getting a head start and slowing down the scouting report. For example, like defensively, the first day we only went over 2 formations. The next day we went over 2 different formations, and so going slowly, but trying to take advantage of the extra time that we have.
How important is it, Coach, to have this week of rest and getting your guys healthy before you go up against a really strong Maryville team?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I like having one later in the year. I'm not a big fan of having any week off. I like routine and just playing, because usually if you're that injured, you're not going to heal up in a week. But we did have some guys that, for example, Zane McIntosh, he had to get his wisdom teeth cut out, so he had a chance to get those out Monday. And of course, Kenyon Phelps has a turned ankle, so it gives him a chance not to do anything for a week and play a game on Friday. So there is some situations with some individuals that it should be very helpful. So it came at a good time, but, still going to have some nicks and bruises by the time next week rolls around.
Coach, are you going to go to the Maryville game this Friday and scout them in person?
I'm not. And to be honest, the biggest reason is obviously we've played them for quite a while, and we went to games before, and usually it's like the second quarter, it's 35-0, and we're turning around and leaving. So, we get the film. We'll get it Friday night, so we'll be able to break it down. So I don't think we're going to drive up to that game this week. We have all the games they've played, and then we go back and look at different hit charts and stuff that we have over the years with them. And so we kind of know a lot about them already. We obviously have to get the Science Hill film to finalize the game plan, but really the majority of it, and I'd say 90% of it's in. So I don't think they're going to change a whole lot from what they do this Friday. So I don't think it's a big deal if we see them in person yet.
Yeah, Coach Floyd, tell Jim you can save it on gas money, man. Watch the film at home.
Yeah, I do not have Kirk Signetti's contract. So we're trying to save all the money we can.
Hey, Coach, I do want to ask you, go back to last week's game against Saudi Daisy down there at their place. You guys won 40-6. If you could just let our listeners know some individuals that had really good performances for you.
Ooh, well, our defense played really well. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think they had 21 yards of total offense. So it wasn't any just one particular person. All 11 of those guys played really well. Offensively, there was times we played really well. Reggie Hubbard had over 110 yards of all-purpose offense. And then, if anybody watched the game, they're going to say, well, Braden Carroll had some turnovers, and he did. But he also threw for 4 touchdowns, rushed for 60 yards. I think it was one of those games for him at quarterback. Sometimes you got to throw it away and just not make a bad play worse. And the good thing about him, he was trying to make a play, and it ended up being negative, so he did throw some interceptions. We did have some turnovers, like fumbling the ball, which wasn't good, but, we still put up 40 points. So we did a lot of good things, but obviously you can't turn it over like that. So hopefully we can learn from those things. Special teams played really well. So, anytime you get a win, we're not going to complain, but if we're being honest, we were a lot more talented than Saudi Daisy.
Coach, you talk about Braden Carroll at quarterback. How's that transition been for him?
It's good, and I think I was probably too aggressive. I talked to Todd Burkhardt, our offense coordinator, about going out there and let's throw some passes because we wanted to have it on film. Obviously, we got to throw it a little bit, and it needs to be, people see Braden throw it, which he can. And we was probably a little too aggressive on some calls and put him in some bad situations. So, but he's an athlete, and when we played Oak Ridge, we had trouble getting him the ball, and the bottom line is we need him to touch the ball, and at quarterback he gets to touch it every play. He's a really smart kid. I think he makes really good decisions. He understands the game. So for us to make a run in the playoffs, I think, we had to do that to put somebody, you know how it is. If you're running a spread offense, you got to have somebody that's a dual threat at quarterback, and he gives us that.
Coach, when I think of Maryville, I think about growing up, hearing about their youth league and the kids that, basically were running the veer from the time that they were 6 years old and on. I want to give you a chance to kind of give, your Bradley County Youth League a shout out, and, how important that's been, that it feeds just straight up into your system, and what that's done for your program.
I think it's important. I think Sterling Collins does an unbelievable job for the time he puts in, and all those coaches. I mean, and obviously we've had a lot of good players come from the Bradley Youth League. Now, we don't get every player. There's players that play in those leagues that go other places. I will say this: Maryville gets a lot of players that do not play in their youth league, that play on their high school team. And Derek Hunt, their head coach, we've gotten to be pretty good friends over the years because we've coached against each other for so long. But Maryville has an attraction that people want to go there and play. I don't think they do anything illegally recruiting-wise. I have a lot of respect for them, but there's a lot of people who want to go play at Maryville that don't necessarily play in their youth league. But I do think youth league helps, to answer your question. I think the kids that wear black and gold as kids and play on our field, I think that has an impact where that's where they want to go to school later on. So there's a lot of positives. I'm really happy that Sterling does this and puts the time and effort into it, and I definitely think it's had a positive impact in our program.
And Coach, I like the way you answer that question, too. First of all, it is a very different day and age when it comes to the accessibility of kids being able to come play at your program. And you mentioned Maryville being attractive for kids from outside wanting to come play. You've done that at Bradley. There's kids that want to come be Bradley Bears, and it kind of reminds me, I'm going to bring out some of your history here. Former assistant wrestling coach, reminds me of Bradley wrestling a little bit. People wanted to come be a part of it.
I'm one of those guys. I was in a situation where we were a really good team at Red Bank, but you had Turner Jackson and Steve Logsdon, who are the wrestling coaches at Bradley High School, and that's what I thought I was going to do in college. And my dad was like, if you're going to do this in college, then you're going to go get coached by the best ones. And that's literally the reason I came to Bradley. And, I know there's lots of arguments of people saying, you shouldn't transfer for athletics, or, some people believe you should. And I'm definitely one of those that believe you should, because it totally changed my life, the sport of any sport. But it was the best thing for me, and it really made a huge impact on my life. And I wouldn't be where I am right now without wrestling for those two guys. And you know that because you wrestled for them as well. They're great human beings, but I think that one of the things I love about Dr. Cash and, Bradley County Schools, and you know this as well, is athletics is part of the education process. And, if I would not have had that, I don't know where I would be in my life right now. And I don't think there's anything wrong with kids wanting to go play for certain coaches. I think it's a great thing, actually.
Awesome answer, Coach. And last thing I got, Tennessee, Alabama down there on the road this Saturday. Who you got in that one?
Oh, man, I don't know. I'm going to enjoy watching it. Obviously, I got to pull for UT, but, I think it's going to be a good game. It's two top 10 teams. And what time do they play? Because I know Ole Miss, Georgia's, too. So.
It's a primetime game, 7:30. Okay,
good. So we get to see both of them. I'm just a huge college football fan, so it doesn't affect my life who wins and loses, but I enjoy watching those games.
Good stuff, Coach Floyd. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to join the show. Always fun talking with you.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. Bradley Central head football coach Damon Floyd.
Okay, I've got the stat of the day. I know we're about to go off the air. Vanderbilt has not been favored against an SEC opponent since what year? Tell me. Give me a guess.
77.
Close.
Well, there goes my answer. So I'll say 82.
78. It's been 177 consecutive games when Vanderbilt has been an underdog against every SEC team until this Saturday, home against LSU. And your boy Brian Kelly.
So I find some humor in that just because it's Brian Kelly.
That's an awesome stat.
I'll be honest.
That's a wild.
I haven't been paying attention to it like I should. Are Vandy fans showing up?
Oh, yes.
It's not. They're not letting these teams.
It's in the atmosphere up there in Nashville.
I think the capacity is like 47,000 now. They've added some seats and everything, but 47,000. And man, they've really made that stadium nice. They really have.
I'm trying to remember which game it was. They got rowdy. It was a good SEC atmosphere. Never seen that from Vanderbilt before.
Yeah, because LSU travels well, and like I remember when they went up to Wisconsin, they literally drank the town dry. quite lit. Like
just like they do at the College World Series.
Yeah, there wasn't alcohol anywhere left. Not in a single bar in the whole city. And so
Nashville's got a lot of bars.
Yeah,
though, man.
they're not going to do that with Nashville. But I know they're always looking for a fun trip. So I just wanted to make sure Vandy fans are showing out like they should. Be.
And with that, Jacob's got to hit the road. He's got somewhere to be. You've been listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Have a great day, everybody.
It's time for a Don Ledford of Cleveland traffic update on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Don Ledford Chevrolet Buick GMC, located on North Lee Highway in Cleveland. Or visit donledford.com for details. Don Ledford, where we say yes. It's on-time traffic with Commander Chuck.
Good afternoon. Building right now with more volume northbound. 75 over here up by Bonnie Oaks, continuing up towards the Ooltewah area. It's carrying a steady flow of traffic on up into Bradley County right now northbound. 75 as you head over White Oak Mountain. Watch for radar at 24 out through parts of Marion County throughout the evening as you head towards Montego Mountain.